Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Quick One Wakili show. For the first time we have lady guests, and I'll invite them to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is June Gachui. You want the whole list now, right? So I'm an advocate of the High Court. My area of specialization is intellectual property and entertainment law, has been for the last 12 years now. I'm also a singer-songwriter, performing artist, radio presenter now, TV show host, daughter, sister, just a happy Kenyan. That's about it for now.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right, so my name is Muikamba. I am a lawyer, a radio presenter, and also TV. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
And I went to school.
Yes.
Okay.
So just for everyone to know.
Mulisoma.
We actually did it.
Yeah, we actually did
So
it.
Yeah.
And then for everyone who's been wondering whether every lawyer in Kenya is a guy, I mean, there's a different perspective to this thing now.
yeah.
So, let's start. Let's start with June.
Okay.
Because she has it's a whole list. How did you begin this journey to the legal profession before you get to the other aspect of it? Yes.
So I think for me, my first interaction with the law was through a TV show. I think it was LA Law at the time, and I think for me, I don't know, I think the series was well done, so it cheated me nice.
Better than the other.
Yeah. I was like, this I can see myself doing. And I sort of played around with, do I want to be a judge? Do I want to be a lawyer? Do I want to present the arguments? I was doing things like MUN, this Model United Nations, and sort of debating, So I was already talking a lot in school. But this was the first time I think I remember having a vivid sort of picture of this profession. Not really understanding that, law in Kenya and law in America is not the same thing, but just feeling like that could be something I could do. And then sort of trying to do subjects like, history, because now I did the IGCSEs, and then I did the IB program at St. Mary's. So you sort of are guided towards softer subjects, so not the sciences, but your history, your geography, or those kinds of things. And I didn't actually love them so much. So I thought, this is not a good start already. So I'm like, so these are the ones. I can't do like maths and then go do law. Yeah. So anyway, I decided to apply for law because by that time I sort of established myself as at least my desire to want to pursue law. And so I applied to do that in the UK. I did my undergrad at LSE, the London School of Economics. Just three small letters, just three, only three small ones. And by then my family and I had lived in France, so I spoke French, so I did an extra year to study French law. And at that point I was like, maybe I could do EU work or I could do UN work. So I had left my options completely open at this point. But that was my sort of my journey and how I ended up even reading law and then coming back home. But I always knew I wanted to be back in Kenya. I was never unsure about that. So even when I said, let me try and see if I can do the solicitor exam or the bar exam in the UK, it was always to then come back and go through Kenya School of Law. Just go through the fire. So that's pretty much how I ended up.
Same question to you.
Oh yeah, I think for me it was very. I didn't have like a lot of choices because we finished high school and then my parents are like, you need to go to uni like tomorrow. What are you going to do? So I'm like, okay, law, because like it didn't have so much time. I finished in 2009 and in 2010 I was in uni, so I didn't have much time to really think about it. I remember I just talked to one of my aunties and I was so confused. I told her I want to do media, like communication or law. And then she's like, communication, you can do it whether you study or not. So just do something completely different and then slowly find your way to the media. And that's what I did. I started uni, I did 2 years and I'm like, this is not for me. And then I left and went to work for family media. I got a job at the radio station and then now after I think a year, I was like, okay, fine, we can just
Go
finish the
finish.
law. Yeah, so that's, I went back and finished.
No, just hold on. So at this time when you left,
Yeah.
how did you folks take it? Like,
My dad is a champ. Because I went and told him, hey dad, I've done this law thing, and then it's like, I think after like the law of like, evidence, you fail to see. You know, you see, I failed that paper. You know, it was very. I'm like, I can't do this. I think it will just get harder. So I told him, I don't think this is what I want to do now. So he asked, what do you want to do? I told him media. So I didn't want to go to uni, like to study media. There was Homeboys had like a short radio course. So I told him, let me go to Homeboys, do like a short thing, and then after that we'll see how it goes. My teacher at Homeboys sends my demo. He did a demo and then he's like, okay, here's a demo, there's a station that's hiring, apply. So I did, and I got in. So my dad was like, okay, sawa.
And now you're earning.
Yes, I was earning, like I could afford my fare. So, I mean, he was fine with it. He's like, okay, cool. I see where you're going with it. And when I wanted to go back to school, he allowed me. He's like, so, Basi, let's continue.
How long was the break?
A year and a half.
My decision to stop started, it was much earlier. I'm very impressed. It lasted 2 years. I lasted 1 year. When I came back home, I told my parents, anyway, you know this? I didn't see it. So my dad said, go to, I think he sent me to, where did he send me? To visit one of my aunties.
Yeah.
So just go and think about your life. Go think
There's
about
always
it.
an auntie.
Yeah. I just don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Like it's hard.
Yeah.
That is, everything will be hard.
Yeah.
But he taught me a lesson about, he's like, the thing you're thinking you might want to go and pursue, what guarantee do you have that it's any easier?
Yes.
So if you start this precedence of just quitting, yeah, so that was the thing. And then he said, I got a stint, not at a media house, but at a law firm. For like a few weeks, just in, and they were doing court work, they were doing criminal, it was horrible, but I think for me, it just helped me look at the law in a different light. That I don't have to practice and do litigation. It was a very good time to learn that.
Yes.
That court work was very good.
so you know, this realize this show has become a London school. Because you're the second. Yeah, she's the second one who went to LSE.
We had
Yes.
Yeah, I think yes.
So anyway, we always want to talk about our Kenya School of Law.
Oh,
Experience.
yes.
So let's start with you.
Or even campus kidogo, eh?
Yeah,
like-
we aliruka aliambio.
Yeah, she didn't have a life. She didn't have a life in campus.
So you can maybe talk about
Yeah.
Campo life
Campo life a bit.
and KSL.
Okay.
Same for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Campo life for me was very interesting. I was in halls first year. I mean, you're thrown in London. I mean, that place is not easy to survive. It's expensive. It's unfriendly. And I think it's cold. It's grey. Even when it's warm, it's grey.
Yeah.
It just is not. It's not for the faint-hearted. And I think that was also what was confusing me because, again, these movies, this TV series, they've cheated us. So you think at university experiences, you go in and the whole campus is university, and it's like dorms and this is sororities, what. There's nothing like this. You get a map, and you're told this building on this street, second floor, that's where the school has its classes.
Yeah.
So if you don't know which bus to take, which train to take, how to walk there, it was quite jarring. So I think you do what everyone does. You try and find your family, your squad, people who look as confused as you, and said, let us walk together. So found a few people from the continent, from all over the world, literally. And I found it really hard, I won't lie, because that first year, I was probably the oldest in all my classes and in all the dorm, like in all my hall of residence. And the reason was I did the IB program. So the IB program is like a pre-university. Are you sure you're mature enough for us to send you to another country? It's that. So I was 2.5 years older than most of the kids in my class. So I was like the big sister, almost Auntie June. Guys are coming back drunk. I'm like, what is this? Because they can start drinking at 16. So highness was a thing that was surrounding me all the time. So getting to class on time, having to beba guys and saying, let's go and read together, you go take notes, I need to take a nap. All that stuff actually happens because you should enjoy Campo. I really think that's the time to be a bit stupid in your life, right? So I have memories of that. I have memories of hanging till like 4 in the morning, coming back and then saying, if we sleep now, you know that 8 a.m. is not going to happen. Trying to all night it and just wait for 8 a.m. Then the first hour you're like this in the class. The notes start sort of flying up this way and down this way. But school was interesting. I think that the teaching approach, according to my experience at LSE, was more favorable for people who are doing their postgraduate. There were fewer in the class. There was more one-on-one interaction with the professors. There were people who could actually land you jobs. But we were so many. We were just like bees, you know. Let's just teach them. It was very lecture-based. Not a lot of interaction, and so a lot of the work you have to actually do yourself. And so I finished that. Finished the first 2 years, then did the third year in France, then came back to the UK to finish. That was also another completely foreign experience, but we were a smaller group. We were 13 of us who went to do this French law program. It was like an exchange program. That was very interesting. By this time, I had moved out of halls, so let me also try and pay rent to somebody who's not my yeah. So I think for me, being able to earn some money as well and get an experience with that kind of responsibility. I used to work at the Hall of Residence, making bookings, because during the summer or the school holidays, it would become a bed and breakfast. So now people would come and stay at the Hall of Residence. I'm in London visiting for 2 weeks. I can't afford this big hotel, but I can afford student accommodation. So that's what I did. And then literally graduated, and 4 months later I was back home and dived into School of Law. Immediately. Like,
Did you used to go through Riara back then?
No. And it was back then. Let me tell you. Let me tell you where School of Law was, so you know how back then it was. You know Valley Road?
Yeah.
That's where the campus
dental
was.
school.
The dental school.
Yeah.
That is where.
Oh.
So not like y'all Karen
It was not
babies.
Karen.
No.
Okay.
We were guys of town.
I see.
We were not in Karen.
Even
at
Akina
all.
Victor did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they used to walk up, go to class, and then it used to be half day, yeah?
Yeah, you would. So it would be. It actually depended on what subjects you had to take. So remember, I had done some subjects in the UK.
Yeah.
So out of the 16, I was made to do 12. You mentioned evidence. Evidence was the one I was not supposed to do because I had done law of evidence. So it should have been a subject I was exempted from.
Yeah.
But that time, the committees would meet so infrequently that if you even appealed to have a subject dropped, you would have
You
missed
lose a lot of time.
You would have missed we were in school for 4 months.
Ah.
The School of Law program
Yeah.
was 4 months. So by the time they meet the next quarter,
Yeah.
you'd have missed you'd have had to come back and pay for another
Yes.
4 months. So 4 months. So pupillage was 6 months,
Yeah.
and School of Law was 4 months if you add the exam week as well, the exam 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's it. What,
So you're
9
doing 10 months.
That's it. 9 to 10 months. This 2-year thing, munapelekwa na
Hey.
student. Let me tell you, I'm just like,
Yeah, she'll tell us her experience.
so School of Law was very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we had a group that had come back around the same time. So I think that finding your people.
Yeah.
Every time you're going through struggle, find your people.
Yeah.
So we had guys from India, guys from Makerere, guys from the UK, guys from there's a guy who went to Russia. I'm like, dude, why Russia? So him all 16. Bam! You have to do all of them.
Yeah.
Then he's like,
Performance.
yeah, but I also did my masters in Germany. In fact, do all the 16 again. I'm like, why didn't you go to an English speaking? Yeah. So School of Law, I have many memories of going to the Hurlingham Total and eating sausages there because that's where we'd walk after.
Yeah.
Or the chapos. There was a guy called Kinuthia who'd make chapos for us there with chai, those big mugs of tea, because that's all you can eat, you know. The toilets used to stink from here to high heaven. You're pressed, you get there, you actually don't want to go to the loo anymore. It's that bad.
Some things don't change.
Something right? So yeah, no, but surviving that for me was literally, it was almost like life and death, to be honest. Because I actually, that one paper that I should never have sat is the one that gave me the most grief. So I passed 11, the first go, failed evidence. So I laughed. I said, do you see why I told you I shouldn't take this exam?
Yeah.
Did it again, because again, by the time the board resits, or the committee resits to determine whether you have passed it or not, you miss the chance to pay for the reset. So you pay for the reset, you go on studying, and you do the reset.
Yeah.
Second time, June fails again. Third time, June fails. Fourth time, June fails, and you were only allowed to fail
4 times.
Sometimes.
So I said, now I just go and sing in the church because this is the only other avenue for me. That time your colleagues have all been admitted.
Yes.
They're already practicing.
Yeah.
But I was really fortunate. I had already secured a job, so I was working. I was working at an oil company in the legal department. So I already I had a job role, and they were not insisting that I became an advocate. So for them, they were just like, "Why are you stressing yourself?
Yeah.
Just sit here.
Must have been total.
Work." Yes.
Because of the chapels.
Yes. So yeah, so I was very fortunate, but it was, again, my dad's voice was in my head saying, you are quitting. So I said, this exam I'm going to. And the irony was, this our professor would never show up on time. He was lecturing in another county. And so he would now move our lessons to like Saturday morning, which meant half the class would never show up. But June was always there. June would write notes. Most of my classmates used my notes to pass. So then that's why I said something else is happening here. So one day I grew up here, and I wrote to the council, and I said, I think something fishy is going on. I want all my papers remarked. They said, you know, you acquiesce when you pay for the receipt, you accept that you failed. I said, actually, no. You guys, if you are meeting as regularly as you are supposed to, a conversation that should have happened prior is now happening after I have paid. So you are taking my payment to mean you agreed.
I have accepted.
So I'm not accepting. I'm saying now I'm not accepting. Even I want all 4 marked. He said we can't do all 4, but we can accept to be marked too. So I paid for the remark. They didn't even know what the fee was because nobody ever asks. And I had passed both times. I had passed both times. So I was just like, then I prayed for forgiveness, even for this individual, who they then opened an investigation on and found that he'd been doing this for quite a while to a lot of people, and he was asked to stop teaching. So I I became a bit of a legend. You're like, you're the chick who did it. I'm like, yeah. But it was a bigger lesson for me. I mean, something that should have taken 8 to 9 months of my life took almost 3 years. But yeah, no regrets. I think I learned lessons from that I probably would never learned anywhere else.
Okay, we are still talking about the same topic. So just take us to Kampu kidogo after going back. Then KSL. I know it happens the same way. If you apply for a remark, the results come after the people who are receiving.
Now. They've changed the system to a way.
So the remark comes out before.
The results for remark come out before the window is closed for
paying.
Yes.
It wasn't the same for us.
Even for me.
Even for you as well.
It wasn't the same.
Yeah,
But now
so-
it has changed.
So the way they used to do it is you first do the, if you apply for a remark, you also apply for the receipt. You pay for the receipt so that in case the results come, if you pass then well and good. If you don't, you go back to class. And there was no refund.
There's no refund.
Yeah, but take us through your journey.
Kampo, I think, so what happened is I took a break. So most of the people I knew, my friends, were like a year ahead of me. And then I went to evening class because I still was working. So I was working during the day, and then at 5 I would go to Kampo. And evening classes are very interesting because it's like very old people. So there isn't much of interaction with like students. It's just the class, do your notes, and then you go. So I generally do not have like a campus, a full campus experience. I do not. I know.
The first 2 years. You're the hybrid.
So the first 2 years, even then, I was a very introverted by myself. So by the time that you guys are going to party, because I know you guys have like a full life. I was over there in the evening class with myself, asking you, have you written the notes? But you know.
Doing their second degree.
So I do not have like a very vibrant campus experience. And then I finished campus and then I went to School of Law. Hey, my goodness. So it's so interesting because I joined School of Law in like obviously joining Jan. And then that time I had left family media, but I still felt like I really want to go back to radio. So I applied for a job at Hot 96. And then just when I'm about to start KSL, they called me and they're like, oh, by the way, here is a job. I'm like, okay, cool. How is the, like, what? How will it work, you know? And then luckily, I was given an evening show, like late night. So I knew, during the day I can go to school, and then in the evening, I will do my show. Hey, so for me, I never missed a class. Like, maybe if I did, it was like 2-3 classes, but it was still very hectic. You know, KSL is a lot. So I would be in class during the day, and then in the evening, I'm doing the show, and it got exhausting. I remember when we were doing the exams, sometimes I'll just like the whole night, because I have missed so much. Sometimes guys have been doing group discussions, sometimes I don't show up for that, so it was very difficult for me. And then we did the exams. I didn't pass civil, commercial, and conveyancing. And
C's.
yeah,
Yes.
and it was so difficult. Like, now seeing my friends get admitted.
Posting the 9Ps. Kwanza it trended the other day.
Everyone is posting, oh my goodness, I have the 9Ps. So the only consolation was, at least I still have a job. Then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do it. I'll do the receipt. Hey, see, you know, pupillage we had to do, and pupillage comes with the workbook. So I'm telling you, I got the full KSL experience. So I went to this law firm. So I'd go to work. This time I had been changed to mid-morning. So I used to work 10 to 1. So I talked to the lawyer. The law firm was like, it's okay, you can come in at 2. So I used to go at 2 and then also work on Saturdays. So at 2, so I'd work, then go to for the pupillage. And then this one time, once, like when we were just about done with the pupillage, the supervisor comes. So I remember we finished and we told the guy we were doing the pupillage with, like, hey, call our supervisor to come so that we maliza this. He's like, sawa. So this time, I get a random call. I'm on radio. I get a random call. Then, I don't know, it's the devil. I didn't see True. Like, True Caller didn't tell me who is calling. Yeah, so I picked, like, hi, Terry, where are you? I'm in the office. That's what I said. Yeah. Then she asked, I'm here, I can't see you. I'm like, no, I'm in the office. And then it hit me, it's the supervisor.
Oh.
So I'm like, which office are you in? Because I'm at your office, you're not here. And the people who are here have told me that you went with your boss to Nakuru. Hi.
Yeah. I'm in our Nakuru office.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
So apparently, the secretary, they knew, like, when the nanny comes, just say she's not here, she's in court. If they come before she's here. Man. So it was such a mess. I got a disciplinary letter. I had to face a committee to explain what happened, and it was so crazy. Like, it's a boardroom full of like lecturers and teachers, and you're seated there, and they're like, "I put it to you that you are, I put it to you that you are not. Why did you lie?" I'm like, okay, So, and then there was a guy, a student, who asked me, and I was so upset. I was like, "You're a student, why would you do this?" So like, "But you're on radio, you work on radio." So I was told, when you feel that you're ready to finish, come back then. So my pupillage cancelled. So they said I have to do it all over again. And that's why I got tired. I'm like, you know what? Let me focus on something else. This is just, So I have not been admitted. It's been like almost 5 years now. Yeah. So that's how I am here now. Just, I'm okay with being a lawyer.
That's sad. But okay, in your opinion, do you think it's possible for someone to get the legal training 6 hours in a day? Like, for instance, from if you went in at 2 and maybe left at 7 or 8, is it possible, in your opinion, to get what KSL requires you to get?
It is possible, because I don't know. It's very possible, to be honest. And when you think about KSL and save the money that you're getting, like, some people can't afford to do this KSL thing just fully. And the pupillage, first of all, they'll require you to wear suits, you have to dress decently, and then they're giving you like 10K. So sometimes you want to do like other things to supplement, so that you can get more. So I don't know why they keep insisting, but I think they should be a bit flexible.
I also think that learning doesn't stop, and I think that's what, even for the people who are at my firm now, that's what I tell them. Like, it's not those 6 hours. It's never just those 6 hours. If you're at a court matter, you'll be preparing. You'll be running your arguments in front of the mirror at home, you know. So I think that 6 hours or those 5 hours, whatever it is you're given, is really for you to have time with your pupil master, other colleagues who are like associates at the firm, and touch as many different types of files as possible. That's really what you're using those 6 hours for, and to determine whether or not this thing even matters to you. Because like for me, pupillage was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Okay, yeah, no. Actually, that is no. But you'll do it. You know how to do it. But I'm just like this. After this last plate, I am never writing another one. But when planes arrive, because we have clients who are sued, I should know what it is. I should know what to look for, what was done wrong, what objection, what application, what to file. Even though it's not something I'm actively doing on a daily basis. So I think if that is clear when you're starting your pupillage, then it helps the journey a lot. Because there are people who go to the office for 8 hours and learn nothing. I have interviewed. And I'm just like,
I didn't know.
You were where? Where were you? Then you go and call, excuse me, Celia.
Was this person there?
Yeah. You ask them to draft a contract. The company has become an individual. Even just like the way the description of the party is. So I think you could sit somewhere for 8 hours, or you could do 5 or 6, and have a more fruitful experience. You know?
So why intellectual property? And also, you could, you know, there's so much myth about what this thing we call intellectual property is. So maybe you could, like why you chose a direction, and what is this thing we call intellectual property?
I think it happened by default. So all my childhood sort of schooling experience was always paired with some sort of performance. So I was in the school musicals, I was in the class plays, doing this skit, this inter-house drama, manenos, like national music festivals. Like I had already, music and drama were always in my life. Like art, and they were sort of stress relievers, and it was a condition, with my parents that, if you want to be in the school musical, then you do well. Like this term I should see your grades improve so that then you can take the time to be in rehearsals, because that's time you're not doing homework, right? And so because I had already learned how to sort of balance, when I started working, that never stopped. So even when I was at KSL, I would be doing plays at Phoenix. So we'd finish at 6 or 5:30, and I would make a mad dash down Haile Selassie, enter there, guys are walking in. Then you go under professional center had our changing rooms were under the main ground floor. So then you go, you get into character, and then you get on stage and you do your play. So it was something that had always sort of interacted with in my life. So even when I was at my first job, I already told my boss this. The day I was called for the interview for the legal officer position, I was on a film set. So I called, I said, yeah, hello? They said, yeah, we want to interview all the candidates on this day at this time. So I'm not available. The HR lady was like, I'm sorry, did you hear what I said? I said, yes. And it doesn't change the fact that I am not available. What are you doing? I said, I'm on set, so we're shooting this movie. She just hung up. She didn't even have the time to. Then she called again. She goes, is this June? Like, is this kind? Do you want this job? Why did you apply? Blah, blah, blah. So she gave me an earful. And then finally I said, look, the truth is, I'm only available on this day from this time. You either interview me or you don't. And it's not even like rudely, it's my reality, right? But the committee has been, I said, you talk to the committee, and then you left it. I hung up, I told my dad that story. He was just like,
what is wrong with you?
There's always the face, you don't even need words. So it's like, he's like, is this movie even paying? I think he got 2K. He was not understanding, right? That's how important it was, and I had always been in my life. They called me back, they reconstituted the committee just to interview me. They said, where were you? And I said, so what happened? This movie now. And then I was asked to come so I told them the story. And they said, so this is something that you do? And I said, yeah, I sing, I act, and I told about everything that day. And then after 15 years, I was like, was this wise? Was this wisdom? Because no, this is not the job you're being hired for, or at least interviewed for. But what it did is that it saved me ever having to explain when I'm on set, on stage, they already knew.
Yeah.
So I had a deal with my boss. We work like this. So sometimes I'd go to Phoenix. My office was on Koinange Street. I'd finish the play at like 8:30. I would come back to the office, work till like 10 or 11, whatever he'd left in my. So that honesty actually helped. So while I was doing all of this, I'd be in rehearsals, met all these actors, creatives, that always like be sliding me contracts. Working a quick one, for real, like
how quick one now.
we're on break, it would just come. So now these guys are saying, this billboard will be. Then I'm like, are you seriously consulting right now? When we are like touching up makeup, or they're like, yeah. So that's what happened. So I used to do this almost like for free on a regular basis. So just sort of giving guys guidance. I wouldn't accept that, tell them to change this. But it came so easy that they were just like, this is what some other lawyer was going to charge me extra. I said, how much? This thing I've done in 5 minutes and you were going to pay somebody who didn't know. So that's what sort of first triggered, who are these creatives going to? And I am one myself. So if I needed to find somebody to handle my legal matters, you know, from an entertainment law point of view, that time we didn't even know it was called IP. And so that sort of triggered me now doing research, and then I did the Jungu thing and I quit my job. I quit my job with no prospects and nothing. I said, I'm going to go find myself because it's important. I just want to go explore. I just want to know who I am. So I took like a year and I went and interned at different places, right? I interned at MCSK, the famous one. I interned at the Kenya Copyright Board, which was then a small desk at the office of the Solicitor General. They didn't even have, it was not the Kekobo we know now, it was that desk. And Dr. Uma would be like, come and sit here. So any meeting she had, I was just there with my notebook. She, like literally, she said, just sit here and learn. She'd introduce me to any client or anyone who comes in. Says, do you mind if she's learning? Do you mind if she sits? They're like, no, then we proceed. Left there, went to Australia. So I met an entertainment lawyer who was doing some Rotary work here. She's like, if you come, just come. And I was like, yeah. You know, we say that all the time. Then she wrote an email saying, were you serious? Do you want to come? So I did 6 weeks in Australia, working with her firm, and one of her clients was actually shooting a movie. So I got to go and look at all the legal documentation, did a training in Sydney, Australia, and then came back. I'd written to Iseme Kamau Mayama, I'd written to William Mayama, and asked him, that time he was teaching at University of Nairobi, he was teaching intellectual property. He had taught Dr. Uma, he had taught Marisela. So now I was like sort of establishing, okay, there are 4 of you, so this thing is like something. It's actually a thing. I can be the 5th one. And I'm cute, so like, you know, so I'm like, maybe. So they were so instrumental for me, like, because we were not many, they were like, yeah, we'll tell you everything. This one was trying to do her doctorate, this one was doing this. And he said, yeah, let me talk to the other partners. If they say yes, come and do 4 months with us. In that period of time, I then applied. I said, if I'm going to talk about this thing, it can't just be that I feel like it's my passion. So I applied to do my LLM at the George Washington University in DC, because they had a 1-year course. Because I was also like not trying to stop earning money again, because that 1 year was painful. I went through all my savings. And so I did this program after finishing the privilege with the internship with Naima, and now I had a very clear picture of what IP was. Like it was not, I wasn't unsure. I knew about patents, I knew about trademarks, I knew about the creative space, which is copyright. I knew what artists, like what painters need to know, what musicians need to know. I had sort of touched a little bit of everything. So the master's program was very useful because I was just picking the principles, what I needed to like hone in on, knowing that I was going to come back. And as soon as I came back, I set up JGIP, and it's been 12 years. This coming year is 12 years. So that's it. It was just understanding the trade because I was in it, and then realizing there was such a huge gap because most people had never done it. It was an elective, even in Campo, right? So it's not something that's like a core subject. And then every big firm says, yeah, we have an IP department, but you really don't. You have people you have told, go and things. And then contracts that come, hey, I said, this came from which firm? I've been shocked for the last 10 years. I can't even tell you how bad it's been. So I realized how important it is. It's a big passion of mine to also train young lawyers in IP. Like I take that extremely seriously, and there's some that you probably in school with or are practicing in that area now that have been through our firm, because I think it's important to give them that perspective to find creative solutions. Whereas in most typical law firms, guys come to you when you're having problems.
Yeah.
Here, we partner with the creative and walk their journey with them. So we have a 1.1% rate of cases that end up in court. Most of them were able to sort out way before.
I'll ask you a few more questions about starting the firm. And it's a consultant, right?
Yes, it is.
I recently started mine, so
Okay.
we talk a little about maybe getting clients and kama hizo. But let's talk about finding a balance between working and going to school, because you worked most of your period in campus and even TSL, right?
Yeah, even TSL.
Yeah, so
she's never had a proper
proper school.
True.
School
After Form 4.
Yeah, so let's talk about that and just speak a little to whether it makes you a better professional, or there are some strengths you get that your other people who are just doing school get, maybe from the experience you have.
Yeah. So naturally, I'm not very out there. I like my space. I like to be indoors. So for me, it worked perfectly, because even in camp, I was not trying to go out. I was not trying to. So for me, it worked very well. And I also think that since I schooled with so many older people, it gave one, there was a lot of networking. Most guys who are doing evening classes, they've done other jobs. They've been in different places. So you get to learn a lot from them. So I wouldn't say that I missed out a lot. It's fine. I'm okay with it. Yeah. But also it enabled me to have, because right now I have 8 years in media. So I feel like it's been 8 years. So I feel like at least it helped. I didn't have 4 years in school, and then so it helped in terms of experience. Yeah, so
so if you decide at some point, I'm sure you try sort of that KSL thing.
Yeah, I will.
Is it very natural that a person who's in media will end up practicing IP? Because we had an interview with Magunga last week, and he told us he's almost getting there. That's the law he wants to practice. Is it almost natural, or
is it natural for you? Is that the direction that you?
Is that the direction you would go if you
to move to at some point?
No. So I'm looking to do my master's, and I want to do master's in international children's rights. So it's completely different. I'm not keen on IP for now.
Imagine it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay. No, I agree. I think the break is nice also, because you're in it. You're in it on a daily. So it's almost like your both sides of your life don't stop. They're the same thing.
Exactly.
So looking for something different helps.
So
maybe now you can talk about setting up, what he was asking.
First of all, can I just comment on, I think the answer is yes. People who I have interviewed who have had a bit of work experience, not just entering the office for 2 hours. Honestly, much better candidates. And the reason I say that is because they are client solution oriented, not theory oriented. So one of the struggles is always, and anyone who has been through the firm can tell you, do always do with their eyes rolling. I'm always like, this is your client who is not a lawyer. What's their beef? What's the issue? What's their pain? You have to hear them as a human, then operate in your brain as a lawyer, and what comes out on this other side has to combine the two. So you have to hear what the client's issue is in their English layman's terms. You have to identify what the issue is, the way you would do a paper. Say, identify the issue, what's the problem, what's the case law, what's the law provision, whatever order that is in. You have to do that in your brain, and by the time you open your mouth to speak, you should have found interconnection between the two. And I find that people who have worked in whatever capacity are more professional in their approach when they enter an office. It's less casual. They understand there's some sort of order, there's a hierarchy. that clients respond, an email can't come at 2 and you just look at it and do nothing until 10 a.m. the next day. I'm just like, so you thought you were the only on the email. You are probably one of 5 lawyers and you've now lost. So it's that response time, because you appreciate the work environment being part of a team, I find is a huge asset. Yeah. So
let me just ask the right questions so that I get the right answer. Setting up a farm, for me, of course, I've had my challenges, and I'll talk about them when I'm the guest of the show. But just tell us the process of setting up, for instance, having an office, thinking about who to partner with or who to work with, getting clients, retaining them, and just growing the business. Like, how was that experience?
We are learning on a daily basis. So remember, I didn't even understand half of these things you have asked me upon the day I set up the firm. And when I came back, I just thought, let me see who's doing what, because you sort of need to know what's in the market. Like both in other fields, we say, who are your competitors, right? So I sort of did a bit of a scan to see which firms had IP departments, spoke to a few of the people who were there as pupils or associates to ask them, so what kind of work do you actually do, who are your clients? And that's when it sort of clicked for me that entering a firm now is not ideal for me. I was so fresh out of college and just learning all these new things. I was like, y'all can't catch up. So I'm just going to just set up and start wrapping all this knowledge before it disappears, right? And it took me about 4 months to sort of say, let me just set up my own outfit. And I opted for a consultancy, and the reason was it doesn't scare clients as much as law firm does. And that came also from feedback from them, because they're like, but you know, it was easier because you said, come, we talk about it. So when I meet the client, that's my sort of the secret weapon. It's like, oh, you're working on this project, you're working on this movie, you're doing da. You should pass by the office, we talk about it. I don't say, make an appointment at the law firm and talk to my secretary, who will then talk to my assistant, and then ask for that. Because that's the experience they've had at some of these larger, more structured firms. So I said that I probably have to do away with some of that structure, because the clientele I'm targeting are not corporate A, B, C, and D. They are individual singers, so and so, record labels, so and so, film production companies, so and so. 1 or 2 corporates who have a creative project that they're working on, for example. So that understanding them is why I set up the way I did. So it was more, come in, let's have a conversation. And I sat and I drank my own chai for months. I said, we're drinking tea. They say, and you sit there with your secretary or your assistant and nothing is coming through. Then I realized, how do I expect them to know what I know so that I can help them? I'm sitting here with all this stuff that can help half the people struggling, and I'm reading articles every day about, did you hear Nani's was stolen by her? And I'm like, but you should have just done proof. And it came so easily for me, but I'm saying you are being a bit arrogant, assuming they know you came back, Josie, from America. So then I started hosting workshops. I'd talk to a group of actors and say, where are you guys meeting? Like, do you guys have they said, no, we meet on Saturdays. And so I said, I'll come and I'll give you an hour of just little tidbits of things to think about. And that was just our way of not advertising directly, because you then put yourself in a position to tune them. They know she knows her stuff, and whenever I need, then do you have a card? Yeah.
And she's part of us.
And she's part of us. So that gave me an in already. And then really the getting clients has been a lot based on referrals. So I say, even if you get 1 client, you do a great job, because most clients, after having a good experience with you, and this is a statistic that Richard Ongwela shared on one of the client care CPDs we did sometime last year. And he shared a statistic for some research that was done in the UK. And he said clients who've had a good experience with you tell 1 person. If they've had a bad experience with you, they tell 10, even if they've not been asked. You know what happened. This guy.
I have tea for you.
Right? Even though they have not asked you a thing. But good experiences, at most 1 or 2. So that means that one or two, that narrative must be like they are preaching the gospel of June's JJP story. And so we take each client like they are almost like your child. And we go above and beyond. So a law firm, in my opinion, will tell you, you want a legal opinion? Tap, drafted bill, fill it out. We'll do a consultation, which is, okay, you'll get your legal opinion, but tell us, this thing, what are you doing? So where are you getting your finding from? And we do a 360 approach, the way you go to see a doctor and you say, the pain is here, they say, that's fine. We'll get to where the pain is. Yeah. Did you sleep well last night? Then they sort of do a diagnostic. Yeah. So that's the approach we've been using. And it makes the client feel like, oh, hey, I didn't even think about that. Can I come back and talk to you? So right there you secure, you'll still get the legal opinion. Yeah. But now they've also paid for your time for that hour. And that's sort of, in a nutshell, one way of doing it. And then they sort of move to other organizations, tell their boss, hey, when I was doing this at this place, these guys sorted us out. So I've had clients who have moved from corporate X to their own business to another corporate, and each of the times they've gone, they brought business back too. So that's securing. We may not have 2,000 clients, but we don't need them. We don't need 2,000 clients. I'd rather have 200, and with those 200 not have to worry, because they'll keep coming back. They'll keep getting acting jobs. They'll keep doing albums. They'll keep recording with artists. They'll keep producing films. And our job is to make sure we have a partnership with them. So that's been the experience. Money-wise, it's been special. But we've never been kicked out of an office. Nobody has ever gone without rent. Structures in place, investing in things like software now, QuickBooks, Excel worksheets will not help you for accounting. As soon as we had to start paying tax and VAT and those grown-up things, I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But then the first check I ever paid out of our JJP checkbook 11 and a half years ago was to the auditor. I said, you come, I'm buying you land and I'm paying you. It was 5K. And I said, you're mine for the next 2 hours. Walk me through everything now. So that, and he's still our auditor today. So that then we grow together, right? Same thing with the guy who does our tax manuals, the same thing with the IT guys have changed, but everybody, the courier guy has been with us for like 6 years. So you sort of like grow, and I think I'm very fortunate to be able to say, you will all be my friends by the time we're done. Like by the time, and it's just because I don't have any qualms about sharing the good and the bad of what I'm experiencing. And then I don't know everything. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. And so come and help me fix this thing. And then partnership-wise, because you mentioned that earlier, I do not have partners, but I have team members who are associates. Okay, so we call them like junior or senior consultants, depending on how long they've been with us, the years of practice, that kind of thing. But I am open to partnership. It hasn't worked. The one or two people who've come through haven't had the staying power in that. Okay, so business development becomes a thing. So that's 90% of my job now is business development, because I have a team who can actually do the work. But if I stop what I'm doing, the client roster just starts to whittle down slowly. So I think that's my primary role. And I keep thinking if we had 2 people or 3 people doing that at partner level, it would help. But partnership is not easy. I've watched 3 partnerships break to the point of, like, it became so personal. It's not worth it. So I'm just like, and it's because we want more. You know, you think economies of scale. If we're 4, we should get 4 times what we're making. It's only money. And money came and went so quickly with COVID. We changed our relationship with cash so quickly. Yeah, so that's been it.
So Terry, you've been in the media for 8 years. Yeah. 8 years. Yeah. And you have another set of skills that you've got. So you have an extra eye. When you guys are doing your media things, you have also this other eye that maybe these other people do not have. Do you think that gives you an edge, considering that, okay, I've been here for 8 years. I also went through law school. I have this certain skill where, like what she said, this is a problem, this is how I'm looking at it, I analyze it, and I give you feedback in a certain way. So do you think that gives you an edge? And maybe as you also answering that, you could look at there's the biggest criticism where, especially practicing advocates, are saying, hey, but guys in the media, these people don't so much stuff. Hey, judgment imetoka tu hivyo, wanaita ruling, imetoka hivyo. Yeah, so there's that criticism. Maybe you would address it.
First of all, yes, it does change a lot of things. I've found that every single time I've maybe gone for an interview, the fact that you're a lawyer, the conversation kind of changes. And I'm so glad that my dad insisted I finish, because there's so many people who have gone to they've done mass communication, but the fact that I have this extra thing, you're able to change conversation, you're able to say, oh, I can also do A, B, C, D. So absolutely, it's really, it's helped me when it comes to the job market, and also having conversations with my bosses. So that's great. It's a plus. The other question was, journalists.
Yes.
And I think there's a general lack of understanding when it comes to law, not just with journalists. So many people do not know their rights, they do not know where to start. So there's a lot of lack of understanding, and most of the times you're supposed to say, if you're a reporter, umetumwa Milimani, and then shortly after umetumwa sijui wapi, so you don't have time to really understand what's happening. And you'll find a lot of media houses, they will not, because I genuinely believe that there should be a legal person, who is doing legal stories, but currently it's not like that.
Because in embassies, you must get there's an ambassador, and then there's a military attaché. So you guys don't have that kind of need.
No, it doesn't happen like that. So surely, sometimes you will find someone who they don't understand the law in any way. So they'll confuse a ruling, they'll confuse a judgment, and I don't blame them. They're not trained in that. So unless the media houses start hiring, you're a lawyer, you'll be doing the research work, we'll be consulting you when it comes to legal matters. But they don't do that now.